Welcome everybody to my third video on this channel. I want to quickly shout out everyone who's given me support so far on this YouTube page. I've got some comments, some messages, some likes as well, a couple subscribers. Thank you to all of you so far who have supported the page. I really appreciate it. It just means that you like what I'm doing. I'm going to do more of it. And today is going to be no different. Today is going to be why I think Steph Curry is the greatest offensive player in NBA history. Now, if you follow me on TikTok, this has been a pretty normal topic of conversation for me on TikTok. I've talked about this probably for the last year or so on live streams, on videos, in comment sections, in messages, and DMs. If you've been following me on TikTok, if you do follow me on TikTok, you know what I think about this. You know this is nothing new for me, but I'm going to go over it anyway because it's not something I see talked about very often. I understand the NBA season's in full swing, and conversations like these are usually reserved for the off season, but I still want to talk about it because I just really enjoyed the conversation. I really enjoy the topic. Steph Curry, the greatest offensive player ever. Now, there's a couple facets to this. There's some breakdown involved here. It's not as simple as, oh, he averages more points than anybody else. He's the greatest offensive player ever. In the NBA and just basketball in general, but mostly at a higher level, so in the NBA, offense is made up of a lot of moving parts. Offense isn't just one thing, isn't just points per game. It's not just how many points can you score. A lot of times, guys that score a ton of points don't really do anything else offensively. They don't provide any value offensively outside of their scoring. And to me, that's not as important and it's not as valuable as someone who's a really good scorer, but is also a really good passer and really good at pressuring defenses in transition. Um, yeah, there's levels to this, if you will, and Steph Curry exceeds everything offensively for the most part. Now, he's by no means the perfect offensive player. Don't get it twisted. That's not what I'm saying here. I don't really think the perfect offensive player exists, with the exception of maybe Nikola Jokic and maybe 2018 LeBron James. Maybe. That's another topic for another day. Anyway, Steph Curry, the greatest offensive player ever. Let's break it down. Let's talk about his scoring. So, Steph Curry's peak scoring 32 points per game on something crazy 60 plus percent true shooting. And for those that don't know, true shooting is essentially a player's true shooting percentage, a combination of their ones, twos, and threes, essentially their free throws, their twos, and their threes. And I believe it is the best way to measure a player's scoring efficiency. It's the most all encompassing measure of scoring efficiency. So, if you're going to use any measure of scoring efficiency, it should not be field goal percentage, because field goal percentage leaves out free throws. And in my opinion, if you're talking about scoring, you want to get the best picture of a player's ability to score the ball. Free throws count. Free throws are points after all. You want to take into account a player's ability to get free throws and a player's ability to make free throws. Steph Curry doesn't get a lot, but he is very good at making them. So for me, that means a lot and that counts. So I'm going to include them. I'm going to use true shooting percentage. Something crazy like a 60 plus percent true shooting percentage, 32 points per game. Now, you want to talk about his peak scoring, it gets a little hazy. In 2021, he averaged 32 per game, which was by far his highest mark. 30 in 2016 when he won unanimous MVP. So either way, his scoring peaks are pretty comparable, no matter which one you want to pick. And again, true shooting, 60% true shooting is reserved for usually players who don't really take a ton of jumpers. Steph Curry averages over 10 threes a game for his entire career. Or I should say, on average, he takes about 10 threes per game for his entire career. 2016, no different. 2021, no different. He took about 10 a game. I could be a little off on that, but either way, it's very close to 10. So the fact that he's taking all these threes and he's still scoring at a 60% clip is just absurd. I don't think you guys understand how absurd that is. So from a scoring perspective, while he may not have the volume of a guy like Kobe or MJ, Steph Curry is very much up there when it comes to scorers all time. If I had to put a number on it, I would probably say, I don't know, top 15? Is he a top 10? He might be top 10? Is he top 10? I'm not sure. Anyway, it doesn't matter too much because, again, scoring isn't the only measure of offense. Scoring isn't the only way to provide value on offense. And especially for a guy like Steph Curry, he's a guy who provides value on offense way outside of just his scoring. And we'll get into a little bit more of that too. His passing. Now Steph Curry isn't an amazing passer, probably his worst attribute, even though he's not bad at it. He's definitely had his highs and lows of passing the ball. And again, passing the ball has a lot to do with having the ball. And for his career, Steph Curry doesn't have the ball much. He's playing off the ball a lot. A big portion of his career, I wish I had the numbers in front of me, a big portion of his career has been him playing off the ball. So it matters a lot when you're looking at, he has the ball this time, that time, he's off the ball this time. Passing the ball, Steph Curry's okay. He's pretty good. His assist numbers, if you look at assist numbers, would indicate that he's a pretty good passer. And not sure where I'd rank him. Not top 10, 20, probably 30 even. Maybe top 30, I'm not sure. I have to make a list. But he's a really good passer. And I think if your passing is your worst attribute, it depends on how bad of a passer you are, but it's not that bad. And when you're Steph Curry, if your passing is your worst attribute, it's really not that big of a deal because he provides so much elsewhere offensively. Speaking of his playmaking, Steph Curry, I would say, is probably the best playmaker ever. Now you're probably thinking, whoa, he doesn't even average that many assists. Magic Johnson averages more assists than him. LeBron James, Steve Nash, John Stockton. Assists are not really a great way to measure playmaking. Let me say that again. Assists are really not a great way to measure, to gauge a player's ability to create for their teammates. Because what is playmaking? Making a play. Okay, well, what does that even really mean? Creating for your teammate. Like creating something for your teammate. It could be creating points for your teammate. It could be creating scoring opportunities for your teammate. Opportunities for them to score, even if they don't score. So taking into account that Steph Curry doesn't have the ball much, isn't really passing much, has times where he passes and his teammates don't score, that all factors into assist numbers. Assists are quite arbitrary in my opinion. I'm not going to get too much into assists. I can make a whole video on that. In fact, maybe I will. Where was I? Steph Curry is arguably the greatest playmaker ever. I think of all players in NBA history, he is the best, far and away, at creating for his teammates. Now, LeBron comes close, Magic Johnson comes close, because they're really good at it for other reasons. And we can get into that another time. Maybe I'll compare them in a video. But Steph Curry, I think, is the best playmaker, the best ever at creating scoring opportunities for his teammates for a plethora of reasons. One of them being the command that he has on the defense, that he has on opposing defenses. You have to regularly commit 3-4 players to Steph Curry on the defensive end. If you're the opposing team, you have to commit almost your entire defense to stopping him. Even now, 30, 34, however old he is, even now, you're not going to just be like, oh, Steph Curry's single covered in the corner, let's just leave him. Who's doing that? Who is actually doing that? If you're doing that, you're insane. I'm not an NBA coach. Never claimed to be, but it's Steph Curry. It's Steph Curry. I don't think I have to say much more than that. Playing into that, the three-point shooting, and they kind of play together. Can't really have one without the other because Steph Curry's threat to hit threes from anywhere far precedes anything that any player has brought to the game. Like, the sheer thought of him taking a three scares the daylights out of a lot of teams in the NBA. You have to guard him out there. You have to go. As soon as he crosses half court, you have to guard him. Who else can you say that about? Maybe Dame Lillard to an extent, but to an extent. And after that, you can't say it about him because it's not to the level of Steph Curry. So teams have to commit so much defensive attention to Steph Curry that it just blows up entire defensive schemes. Yeah, so again, I could go really in depth on this. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but the combination of Steph's prolific ability to create for his teammates, largely in part because of his ability to shoot and score from practically anywhere, his ability to score anywhere, and just the overall pressure that he puts on defenses from all over the court, I would be very confident in saying that he is the greatest offensive player ever. I think he provides the most value of any player ever on the offensive side of the ball. A couple honorable mentions, perhaps I'll get into another video. Nikola Jokic, LeBron James, and Magic Johnson. I think you could craft a really good list of those guys as your top 4 offensive players ever. Sure, LeBron James maybe has a case. Sure, Magic Johnson maybe has a case. LeBron because of his, again, GOAT level scoring, his GOAT level passing, Magic Johnson's GOAT level passing, Magic Johnson's GOAT level transition game, the ability he has to pressure defenses in transition that opens up the floor for his teammates in ways that Steph Curry doesn't have. Sure, I'll give you those guys. To me, though, it's Steph. I think Steph Curry is the greatest offensive player ever. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions in the comments, let me know. I'll be glad to clarify. Maybe I'll make a part 2 to this video because it's only 11 minutes and I feel like I could go really in depth on this. Thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and give me video suggestions because I'm open to anything. Thank you in advance, and peace out.